So, of course, with the Atlanta Hawks heading into mid-season, I feel like it is the perfect time to go over 5 possible trades that the Atlanta Hawks can possibly make for 5 different players. I feel like the Hawks do have a lot of strengths as a team. However, we do have our weaknesses, and we do need some help in certain areas, especially the defensive side of the ball, which I'm going to address a lot in this video. However, of course, I'm going to give you a lot of different things about these players, including their stats, their contract situations, and what they can possibly do and what they bring to the team that can help us become better as an Atlanta Hawks unit. Now, of course, before I get right into this video, make sure to like and subscribe, turn that notification bell. You guys help me out a little bit. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. Now, of course, the number 1 trade, Patrick Beverley. Man, this guy is absolutely amazing on the defensive end of the ball. And on offense, he's actually still pretty productive. 8.1 points per game, 4.4 rebounds per game, 4.5 assists per game, 1 block per game, 0.9 steals per game, and shoots 45.8 field goal percentage. Patrick Beverley is absolutely a beast and a pest on defense. Now, of course, on offense, he's not really the world's greatest. However, on defense, which, if you ask me, the Atlanta Hawks definitely need that the most, you're getting a very, very elite, talented player on defense. Now, of course, the contract situation, Patrick Beverley will be an unrestricted free agent next season, which can be seen as a positive or negative depending on the situation. We do run the risk of losing Pat Bev after maybe under 1 year of production. However, we also do run the, I won't say risk, but sort of run the possibility of him coming back on maybe a lesser contract so we don't have to pay him as much as $14.3 million, which he's getting paid right now. Now, of course, Patrick Beverley is obviously going to help our struggling perimeter defense. Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter are both out with not really significant injuries for Cam Reddish. However, DeAndre Hunter, he's going to definitely be out for a couple of weeks, if not another month, with a very, very, not serious, but a surgery that he had to get. It's really, really hard to determine the situation with DeAndre Hunter. He's had a lot of surgeries in his career. He's had injury problems in his career, so I wish the best for him. However, I feel like Pat Bev will be the perfect placeholder for both of these guys. He will help our perimeter defense, and with Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter not only being 2 of our younger players, but 2 of our better perimeter defenders, I believe even when they come back, Pat Bev can definitely have a huge role in the rotation, especially as a defensive player. Now, speaking of his role in the rotation, I believe Pat Bev can either run the backup point guard position or even shooting guard next to Trae Young in order to minimize Trae Young's weakness, which happens to be defense. Trae Young is not the world's greatest defender at the point guard position. Now, of course, Pat Bev, he's averaging 1 steal and 1 block per game this season, and will also bring a lot of needed energy to this team. I feel like the Atlanta Hawks are in desperate need of energy in their starting lineup. I don't think the Atlanta Hawks have that defensive edge as a team, and I feel like that's not something that you have to have, but you'd rather have it. You want to have that guy that you can put on anybody and say, hey, go lock him up, go make him work, and I feel like Patrick Beverley is definitely that dude. I feel like he can really, really provide a lot for us when it comes to the defensive end of the ball and as an overall player in general. I feel like Pat Bev is a very versatile guard. I feel like he can play shooting guard or point guard, whether he be in that backup role or that starting role next to Trae Young. I think he can serve us very, very well as a role player on the team. Now, of course, number 2, I have Nicolas Claxton. He is really, really good. Now, of course, this year he's only played 4 games, averages 6.5 points per game, 5.5 rebounds per game, 0.8 assists per game with 1 block per game, and is shooting 55% field goal percentage. Now, of course, Nick Claxton, he is an unrestricted free agent next season as well, and he's actually cheap. Only $1.7 million. That's how much he's getting paid, so I'm really, really happy about that. I think this could not only be a good player decision, a good business decision, but it can also be a great financial decision as well for the Atlanta Hawks, is they won't have to pay that much money. Now, of course, as I said earlier, Nick Claxton is currently out with an illness, and he's only played 4 games this season, which is kind of concerning. However, he's still a young player. He's only 22 years old, and the one thing is that our backups need rim protection. Our backup centers need desperate help when it comes to rim protecting, and I feel like Nick Claxton, can slide into that role nearly perfectly and provide us with something that we desperately need off the bench, and that's rim protection. Now, of course, course, after a decent rookie year, Nicolas Claxton broke out in his second season. In his second year, which was last year, he recorded 1.3 blocks per game and nearly 1 steal. And not to mention, he is very, very energetic off the bench. He was great for the Brooklyn Nets. I feel like he will be equally great for this Atlanta Hawks team. I think he's going to provide some energy. He is not the highest, I would say most active, like not as active as Patrick Beverley because dude is on the perimeter. However, his length really enables him to be a great defender, and I quite honestly believe Nick Claxton can be one of the better defenders in the entirety of the league. He's long, he's athletic, and he can also serve as a great lob option for the Atlanta Hawks if Trae Young happens to come into the game with the second unit. Now, of course, number 3, a very interesting player in my opinion, we have Cedi Osman. Now, of course, Cedi Osman, he is a very, very good player. He's an interesting player. He was on those Cavs teams with LeBron James when they went to the championship. Now, Cedi Osman, this year, he is more into that 6-man/bench role, and he seems to be pretty much thriving in it. Averaging 11.6 points per game, 2.9 rebounds per game, and 1.9 assists per game, while shooting 46% from field goal percentage and shooting a career high 43% from 3. Now, of course, Cedi Osman, he does get paid around $8 to $7 million and does not become a free agent until 2024. So this could possibly be a very, very big positive. He is on a long-term deal, He is not getting paid too much. The Atlanta Hawks won't have to completely bend their backs over to absolutely pay this guy the absolute max contract. $8 to $7 million. It's very, very manageable. Now, of course, Cedi Osman is not the world's greatest defender, but he is very, very serviceable and provides championship level experience off the bench. I'm really, really, really a huge fan of Cedi Osman coming off the bench. Now, of course, he will also provide some really, really good offense, whether he's starting or coming off the bench. I think he could start for the first couple of games because Bogey, Cam Reddish, and DeAndre Hunter are all hurt and they may be out for some time, as I said earlier in this video. And of course, as I said earlier with his statistics, Cedi Osman is shooting a career high 43% from 3. That is insanely good. That's one of the best in the entirety of the NBA. And the Atlanta Hawks, in case you don't know, this happens to be a shooting team. And I believe Cedi Osman will fit into that role really, really, really well. He is, or at least he's becoming, a sniper. He's becoming an absolute ace from the three-point line. And the Atlanta Hawks can definitely always use that. You can never have enough shooters on your basketball team. The Hawks happen to have a lot of them. Of course, some of them are missing. But I believe Cedi Osman can definitely slip into this team well. Now, of course, it's a decent chance that this trade is going to happen. It's because Cedi Osman's role has dwindled a little bit in Cleveland. After being the starting small forward for the last couple of seasons, he's really, really now on the bench, falling out of the rotation. Now, of course, despite Cleveland's circumstances as a team, Cedi Osman is a super talented player, and I believe he has the level of talent that can win 6th Man of the Year. Cedi Osman, in my opinion, really, really great player, very solid. I think the Hawks can definitely use somebody like him. Now, of course, number 4, a guy who I think may not be the highest chance of getting him in a trade because the Hawks may have to give up a little bit too much and his contract is worth a lot. However, number 4, Miles Turner. Yeah, really, really interesting, right? I said Miles Turner, the league leader in blocks, and you instantly got interested into this video. I guarantee you. He averages 12.4 points per game, 7.6 rebounds per game, 1 assist per game, 2.8 blocks per game, 0.6 steals per game, 51% field goal percentage, and shoots 39.4% from the three-point arc. Now, Miles Turner, here's the thing. He's getting paid $17.5 million, which is a lot. And it would be a lot for a backup center or even a starting power forward. In my opinion, this guy is not better on the offensive side, at least, concerning John Collins. So I don't think he's going to start at that power forward position. $17.5 million is a lot of money. However, he would virtually solve every single problem that the Atlanta Hawks have when it comes to protecting the rim. He's young, he's mobile, he currently leads the NBA in blocks, and he's a guy that can play defense and provide some good offense with his 3-ball and his overall presence. I think Miles Turner is more thought to be a defensive player. However, 12 points per game is really, really good. Dude easily has the athleticism to average 7 to 10 rebounds a game. He's one of those really, really good players. Super solid. I feel like Miles Turner has been great in Indiana in his entirety of his career. Now, of course, Miles Turner off the bench with Clint Capella starting would be an absolute nightmare for opposing offense. I mean, just imagine, right? You have to go through Clint Capella for the first parts of the game. Clint Capella is one of the best defenders in the league at the center position. Then Miles Turner, the league leader in blocks, comes off the bench. that's going to be an absolute headache for offenses. Now, of course, again, it's kind of a low chance, that this trade happens, and it's because Atlanta would have to probably give up something pretty valuable in return. Of course, Miles Turner is not a cheap player. Atlanta's going to have to give up some big contract, and of course, $17.4 million is a lot. A lot. $17.5 million is a lot of money to give what would be a backup center. So I'm not too sure Atlanta's willing to do that. However, if the trade were to happen, I would not be shocked. Miles Turner is an absolutely amazing rim protector and a great player in general. And of course, for number 5, I have Josh Hart. Josh Hart is an absolute great role player, averaging 11.4 points per game, 5.9 rebounds per game, 3.6 assists per game, 0.9 steals, shooting 51% field goal percentage and 36% from the three-point arc. Now, of course, Josh Hart gets paid around $12 million per season and becomes an unrestricted free agent in the year of 2024. Now, of course, Josh Hart is a very high energy player and we need him. Of course, with people like Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter out, I believe I'm saying that for the third time, Josh Hart would be nearly perfect. He's having a career year, and ironically, dude is a shooting guard playing the power forward position. Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. Josh Hart, literally, if you go on to basketballreference.com, his position for this year says power forward. That's absolutely insane. That explains why he's averaging nearly 6 rebounds a game. He can help our team in all facets of the game when it comes to defense and offense. Again, very high energy player. However, it's still a low chance this trade happens because he's a huge part of New Orleans Pelicans rotation. And of course, it will probably cost a lot for us to trade him. We're going to have to give something back in return, which I don't think the Atlanta Hawks are set to do right now. I don't think the Atlanta Hawks want to give up young talent. We want to give up maybe some picks, maybe a little bit of money, but I don't think the Hawks want to give up young talent, and I believe it's going to take that to get a player like Josh Hart. However, Josh Hart does pretty much everything as a role player. In my opinion, he's the ultimate role player. Again, another guy who's talented enough to easily win 6th Man of the Year. I think Josh Hart is an incredible player. I really like how he averages 6 rebounds. Like, that's really good for your shooting guard. I like how he can line up at literally maybe 3 or 4 positions, depending on the team he's on. If it's a small ball team, maybe 3. But if it's a small ball team, maybe 4. But if it's a bigger, wider, maybe longer team, maybe 3 positions. However, man, he's an absolutely amazing player. I feel like the Hawks could definitely use him, and I think he's one of the better candidates for the Atlanta Hawks to possibly trade for if they want to give up a little bit of young value. But, of course, that's going to be the end of this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. You guys turn on that notification bell. Help me out a little bit. Of course, links in the description. I have TikTok, Spotify's, Instagrams. You guys help me out with those a little bit. Follow those. Whether you follow them or not, though, I wish that you stay loved and stay blessed. And without further ado, I'm going to end this video. Thank you for watching.